Welcome to Lento English. Ready to level up your English? Here we learn through stories, slow, clear, and fun. Listen, relax, and enjoy the journey.
1. Introduction. Life in Canada today feels hard for many people. It costs a lot of money to live here now, and prices are going up fast. Think about a family who lives in a big city like Toronto. They need a place to live. Maybe they are looking for an apartment that has 2 bedrooms so their children can sleep in different rooms. This apartment costs much more money today than it did just a few years ago. Not long ago, the money you paid for this kind of apartment was around $2,400 every month. Now, the same apartment can cost about $3,300 each month. This is a very big increase in the price of rent. This problem is not only in Toronto. In many cities across Canada, it is hard for people to find a place to live that they can afford. If a person works at a job that pays the minimum wage, which is the lowest amount allowed by law, it is very, very difficult for them to pay for even a small apartment with only 1 bedroom. Buying a home is even more difficult. In the biggest cities, like Toronto and Vancouver, the amount of money a family needs to earn each year to get a loan to buy a home is much, much higher than the average money families earn. This means that even people who have good jobs and earn a lot of money find it hard to buy a home. For many years, Canada was known around the world as a wonderful place to live. It had a strong and positive reputation. People thought of Canada as a country full of chances and possibilities. It was seen as a place where people could come and build a good life for themselves and their families. The quality of life was high. People from many different countries and cultures came to live in Canada, and they often lived together well, making the country very diverse. Canada also had good systems to help people, like free health care for everyone. Many people who came to Canada hoped to achieve this good life, which is sometimes called the Canadian dream. But now, for a growing number of people, this dream feels very hard to reach. Instead of an easy life, daily life has become a struggle for many people. It is hard to pay for all the things you need to live. The total cost of living is very high. This includes the price of food, clothes, transportation, and other things that families need every single day. The cost of housing is perhaps the biggest problem. Finding a place to rent or buy that does not cost too much money is very difficult for many people across the country. Healthcare is also a concern. Sometimes, it can take a long time to see a doctor or get necessary medical treatment. These major problems with the cost of living, housing, and healthcare are making daily life a real struggle for many people in Canada. This situation is a big change from how many people used to see Canada. The country is facing serious challenges. The idea that it is easy for everyone to find a good life here is not as true as it felt in the past. Many people are feeling worried and uncertain about their future in Canada. 2. Looking back in time. To understand Canada today, we need to look back. Canada is a country built by people who came from other places. In the middle of the 1800s, most people lived near the Atlantic Ocean and the Great Lakes. West and north of these areas was a very large land with few people. The government at that time wanted more people to live in these empty lands. They used immigration to help the country grow. They told people in other countries to come and build a life in Canada. They called the Western land a new golden place. People came on ships and met with officers. These officers chose who could come in. They wanted people who could help the country. For example, they wanted farmers to settle on the land. These new people helped build small towns that grew into cities. This helped Canada become stronger in the West. By 1920, Canada's population grew from 3 million people to 9 million. In the beginning, people were chosen for their skills, but they were also chosen based on their race. Canada wanted to remain a country mainly for white people. After the Second World War, this idea changed. Canada started to build a new way to choose immigrants. This new system used points. People got points for things like their age, how much school they finished, their job training, and if they spoke English or French. The main idea was to choose people based on what they could give to Canada. This points system is still used now. It is one of the oldest systems like this in the world. Later, a challenge appeared. More people coming to Canada were family members of people already living here. In 1971, about 3/4 were workers and about 1/4 were family. 10 years later, this changed. The government thought that family members did not work and used government money. So they made the rules harder for family members for a time. Canada's government had the power to make changes quickly when they saw problems. They kept finding weak points in the system and making it better. By the early 2000s, many people around the world said Canada had one of the best immigration systems. 3. A good system. In the early 2000s, Canada had a system for immigration. Many people around the world thought it was a very good system. It worked well. People in Canada also felt good about immigration. They accepted new people coming to the country. Most people supported immigration. This was a time when immigration was not a difficult topic for many Canadians. Then, in 2015, there was an election. Justin Trudeau became the new Prime Minister. He had a message of hope and being positive. Many people felt happy and hopeful when he won. There was a good feeling in the country. When he first started as Prime Minister, Justin Trudeau did things that people liked. For example, on his first day, he went to a train station and took photos with people. Many people saw this and felt good about him. The feeling in the air was happy and positive. Because of this, Justin Trudeau had very high support from people at the start. His approval rating was one of the highest for a new Prime Minister in Canada's history. It seemed like a good time for the country and for immigration. 4. New challenges emerge. Canada began to face new problems. One big problem was a widespread shortage of workers across the country. Many different jobs needed people. For example, there were not enough workers in building, health care, and other important areas. Companies found it hard to find people with the right skills for these jobs. Another problem was that Canada's population was getting older. This is called an aging population. There were more older people than before. Fewer young people were joining the workforce. This creates problems for the workforce and for social services like health care and pensions. In 2012, there were about 4 working people for each senior citizen. Soon, the projection is that there might be only 2 workers for every person who is retired by the year 2036. The number of Canadians over 75 years old will double in the next 20 years. This means fewer people are working to support a growing number of older people who need services. The government thought immigration could help address these challenges. The new Minister of Immigration believed this strongly. He saw immigration as a key tool. It could help fill the worker shortage in important sectors. It could also help with the aging population problem by bringing in younger workers who would contribute to the economy and tax base. So the government announced a big new immigration plan. It was described as radical. They planned to welcome many new permanent residents. The plan set ambitious targets for the next few years. In 2023, they planned to welcome 465,000 people. In 2024, the target was 485,000. For 2025, it was 500,000 people. The government wanted to attract talented people from all over the world. They called this a race for global talent. They had every intention of winning it to boost Canada's economy. A main goal was to bring in skilled workers. They aimed for 60% of new people to be economic migrants. These were people chosen for their skills and ability to contribute to the country. They especially wanted workers for jobs with high demand. This included jobs in healthcare, skilled trades, manufacturing, and technology. The government believed immigration was the solution to Canada's challenges. They saw it as the answer, not the cause of problems. In 2023, Canada's population grew very quickly. It was the fastest growth in almost 70 years. It was the fastest among developed countries. Some groups wanted even more people to come to Canada. One group, called the Century Initiative, wanted the population to grow to 100 million by the year 2100. The plan was supported by some important people. Public opinion started to change. More people began to worry about immigration. This was a change from before. 5. Rapid growth and its cost. Canada's population grew at a record speed in recent years. This was one of the fastest rates of growth among developed countries like those in Europe or Australia. This fast growth was mainly because many people came from other countries to live in Canada. Some groups in the country wanted Canada to grow even more in the future. They suggested a plan to have 100 million people by the end of the century. Some people connected to the government and important businesses supported these ideas for very large growth. However, the feelings of people already living in Canada about immigration began to change quite quickly. For a long time, most Canadians felt positive about immigration and saw it as a good thing for the country. But now, a growing number of people started to express concerns. The percentage of people who felt that there was too much immigration increased significantly over a short time, almost doubling in just a couple of years. This change in public feeling led to public actions that were not common before. People held protests in some cities about the government's immigration policies. Seeing protests like this specifically about immigration was unusual in Canada. The government often shared numbers showing that the total economy was growing. And yes, the total size of the economy did get bigger, but it grew mainly because there were simply more people working and living in the country. When you look at the economy's growth for each person, called per capita growth, this important number was actually falling. This showed that even though the total economy was larger, the average person was not necessarily becoming richer or having an easier life. In fact, living standards for individuals started to go down for many people. There was a clear problem because of this very fast growth. The number of people arriving in Canada grew much faster than the country could build new homes, new hospitals, or new schools. There was a big difference, a mismatch between the speed of population growth and the speed of building the necessary services and infrastructure. People felt the pressure on existing resources. This affected many parts of daily life. The cost of living became much higher, especially the cost of finding a place to live. Daily life became more difficult and expensive for many people across the country. This rapid increase in population had a real cost that people could see and feel directly in their lives. It created new challenges for the country and its people. The general good feeling about immigration that existed for many years started to weaken for a growing number of Canadians as they faced these problems and saw the country changing quickly. 6. Housing and people. When a country's population grows very fast, it can cause problems. More people need more hospitals and schools. The services that people use every day can become very busy. One of the biggest problems is housing. It is hard for people to find a place to live. Homes are very expensive. Sometimes many people have to live together in small spaces. For example, there was a story about 25 students sharing one basement. This shows how difficult it is to find affordable housing. The number of people living in Canada for a short time has also grown a lot. These are people like students from other countries and temporary workers. In 2022, there were about 1.4 million of these people. By 2024, this number was about 2.8 million. It had doubled. Because of these problems like housing and busy services, people started to feel differently about immigration. Many people were not happy with the situation. Their ideas about immigration policies changed. For the first time in a long time, immigration became a topic that people argued about. It was no longer something most people agreed on. Public opinion turned against the current policies. 7. Changing course. Over time, the Prime Minister's popularity changed a lot. His approval rating went down very low. In September of 2024, only about 33% of people approved of his work. Even fewer, just 26%, wanted him to be the Prime Minister. People were not happy. They were angry about the cost of living and housing problems. The government needed to do something. The Prime Minister made a change. He asked the person who was the Minister of Immigration before, Sean Fraser, to now work on housing problems. This decision surprised many people. Some people and the media were critical. They questioned if the person who was in charge when many people arrived could fix the housing problems. Some comments said it was strange to ask the person who might have helped create the problem to be the one to solve it. The situation was difficult for the new housing minister. People felt frustrated. They believed the government's choices about letting in many new people quickly had made the housing situation worse. Immigrants also felt unhappy because some people blamed them unfairly for the problems. The Prime Minister spoke publicly about the situation. He said that the government would change its plan. They would lower the number of new people coming to Canada. This was to slow down the population growth. He admitted that mistakes were made. He said that when he became Prime Minister, there was already a long history of not building enough affordable homes. This problem had existed for about 3 decades. There were also challenges with building new homes and getting materials. However, he also accepted some responsibility. He said it was his government's choice to welcome a large number of immigrants. This choice added more pressure on the housing market. He understood that many people were now unhappy with the immigration policies. A majority of people felt that the number of new arrivals should be lower. The government decided to change direction because of these strong feelings and the difficult situation across the country. 8. The way forward. Life in Canada feels different now for many people. It is harder to pay for daily things. Homes are very expensive and buying a home is difficult. Even renting a place costs much more than before. This is a big change for the country. Numbers show how people feel about this. A few years ago, a smaller number of people thought Canada was not a fair country. Now, a much bigger number of people feel this way. Almost 2 times more people think the country is unequal today compared to a few years ago. Also, more and more people say that the cost of living is worse now. In 2019, about 6 in 10 people said costs were bad. Now, in 2024, over 8 in 10 people say costs are worse. These are clear signs that life is harder for many. The main lesson from recent years is that it is hard to bring many new people to the country quickly. The country needs to build many more homes, hospitals, and schools at the same time. If the number of people grows very fast, it is difficult for everything else to grow fast enough to help everyone. Finding the right way forward is not easy. It is a complex challenge. The government is trying to make changes. They want to find a balance. They are looking at how many people should come and how to build more things for everyone. They know they need to address the concerns of different groups of people in the country. Some people worry about finding a home or job. Some people who came to Canada feel like they are blamed for the problems. The path ahead means trying to make things better for everyone. It means finding a way to grow that helps people, not just the total size of the economy. It is an ongoing effort to find this balance and build a stronger future for all.